Okay, last week we weren't here. About for Yom Kippur, let's go back to Yom Kippur. Great, so we learned the 5 inuyim, the 5 things which are called affliction that the Torah says, ta'anus nafshei seichem, and that was given over, by the way, the Gemara says, to the hand of the Chachamim. So it's eating, it's really 6, but I'm saying, but eating and drinking, washing, smearing, wearing shoes, any part of the shoe cannot have leather, and marital relations. But in the dinim of eating, I don't want to elaborate because every case is different. You have to ask it over Shaila, when it comes to eating. But biblically, there's a certain amount that you need to eat to get kares. The punishment of Yom Kippur, eating on Yom Kippur, is the punishment of kares. That means basically in the time of the Bais Din, you would die earlier. Interesting also, if you do malacha on Yom Kippur, it's also a din of kares. There's no stoning on Yom Kippur like it is by Shabbos. So there's a certain amount that you need to, shir is called a kiseves. But in a practical sense, if somebody needs to eat on Yom Kippur, the only time you're allowed to eat on Yom Kippur is if it's a life-endangering situation. Even if it's not, you're sick, but it's not life-endangering, then halachically you're not allowed to eat on Yom Kippur. But sometimes if a person medically does need to eat on Yom Kippur, so then the halacha is they should eat less than a shir, less than an amount that the Torah obligates you for kares. Now, even though the Gemara says, famous argument between Rabbi Yochanan and Shlakish, but Rabbi Yochanan says, Chatzi shir asim min haTorah, half of the amount is biblically forbidden, it's such that you don't get punished. So for instance, somebody would eat an ounce of kazayis, which is an ounce of chazir, so then you would get malchus if you were warned. But if somebody ate a half an ounce of chazir, so it's biblically forbidden, but you don't get punished. The same thing. What?
The soldiers in Israel, they don't have to pass at all, right?
No, it's not necessarily true. It depends. If they're in the middle of a war, yeah. But Stam,
they tell us we can just eat.
By the Yom Kippur War, they for sure didn't eat. No, it depends. It depends. Every case is different. It depends. If a soldier just standing on patrol and there's no danger that looks like it's happening, then yeah, then you have to fast. 1 second. So anyway, so the shir is kiseves. Kiseves is a little bit less than 2 ounces, and that's for food. And for liquid, so it's called mali lugmav. Mali lugmav means a cheekful. That means if somebody, and this is measured by every person individually, interestingly. Normally, an amount to drink, to be eitzah, like kiddush or whatever you need to drink, there has to be a revius but by Yom Kippur, the shir of drinking is every person's own cheekful. That means technically, let's say a person's cheekful fills up an ounce, and they eat an ounce, drink an ounce, then they would get kares. If a person has a really big mouth, he can hold 2 ounces on one side of the cheek, one side, so then he wouldn't be chayiv until 2 ounces. By an average person, it's over an ounce. And also we learned that in order to be chayiv for eating, just like we remember, if we learn by matzah, in order to be yetzer the mitzvah of eating matzah, you have to eat it in a certain amount of time. It's called kedei achilas pras. Now, if you eat matzah over 20 minutes, an ounce of matzah, you just spread it out over 20 minutes, then you didn't get the mitzvah of matzah because it's not called eating. Eating means when you eat it in a certain time. When it comes to Yom Kippur, so the shir of food is kiseves, the shir of liquid is a cheekful, but they don't combine. If you eat a half a drink and you drink a half a drink and a half a food, so you don't combine them. Food and food combines, liquid and liquid combines, but not food and liquid. So therefore, 1 second, I'll get to everybody's question in a second. So even though any amount of drinking, a drop of water is biblically forbidden, but it's not punishable by kares because you didn't eat enough or drink enough. So therefore, if somebody has to eat, and they have to go through a Rav to find out, so a Rav will tell him to eat less than the amount of the shiur, and in more than the time of kedei achilas pras. In other words, if somebody they'll drink, let's say, even an ounce, 3 ounces of water. but be over 20 minutes, they take a little bit over 20 minutes, they're not going to get caught. It's biblically forbidden, because after amounts is still forbidden. But you're not going to get caught. Now, how much is kedei achilas pras? How much is, simply means enough time to eat 3 eggs. Pras means a half of 6 eggs, which is 3 eggs. How long is that? So interesting. In halacha, is, as they say, the minakotza lakotza. It's mamish extreme. One opinion says kedei achilas pras is 2 minutes. Other opinions say in halacha it's 11 minutes. And you have everything in between, all the opinions between. So the average, by Yom Kippur, you want to be machmer, so you say 9 minutes. So if somebody, let's say, has to eat, they must call it off. They can't do this on the road. The Rav will tell them sometimes, okay, you can eat 1 ounce of food, because the shear is like 1.5 ounces or more even. So time you can eat 1 ounce of food and 1 ounce of liquid, because the Gemara says Moli Lukma by an average person is more than that. So you have 1 ounce of food, 1 ounce of liquid together, and then you wait 9 minutes. So then those 2 eatings that you eat before the 9 minutes and after the 9 minutes don't combine. And therefore, yes, you're transgressing eating on Yom Kippur biblically, because half the amount is still biblically forbidden, but you're not getting the punishment of Kodesh. Okay, what did you want, sir? Yaakov.
Yeah. If you are in the middle of nowhere, there's no Torah, no rabbi, no shofar, nothing, and no kosher food, it's still required to fast, or is it done?
And Yom Kippur?
On Yom Kippur.
Yeah, Yom Kippur, it's interesting. According to halacha, what happens, this you get many times, any Rav will tell you they get this. If I go to shul, I'm not going to be able to fast. But if I lay in bed a whole day and don't daven 1 word, I can make it through. Yeah? Halacha says emphatically, you lay in bed a whole day, you don't daven 1 word, is better than davening and having to eat. Any amount. The main mitzvah on Yom Kippur is ta'anus nafshei seichem, you have to fast. It's more important than davening, it's more important than whatever. So it's a very important thing to fast. What?
When you say a cheekful, you mean a fluid ounce?
What?
A cheekful of 1 fluid ounce?
A cheekful of liquid is a fluid, it's more than a fluid ounce, so therefore you have 1 ounce, which is less than Mali Lukma, of an average person. But if you take a look at halacha says a guy that has to eat before Yom Kippur should, before Yom Kippur, fill up it's 1 side of the mouth with liquid, spit it out, and see how much it is, and he has to drink less than that.
Is there a reason that that's the shear?
It's halacha mishmisina. All shiurim halacha mishmisina. Why this? Kazayis, Krisavis. It's what?
Is there any case that a nursing mother should feel sick, dehydrated, and she would be able to treat the baby sick, or just
People that have these situations have to ask it off. Because every case is different. The Rav has to discuss it with them, what the story is. Yom Kippur is very serious. What?
Does the Rav ever give different timelines for the fast for the person if they feel that they eat it more than others?
It's funny. In my house, starting 2 days before Yom Kippur, is non-stop, the phone. And my kids already, when my kids were little, yeah? When my kids were little, even when Mama's a little kid, when my girls they would know every time the phone rang, they said, the little kid said, okay, 1 ounce of food or 1 ounce of drink every 9 minutes. Now, sometimes if a person says it's not enough for me to do that, first it will go down, because it can go down to 7 minutes, sometimes 4 minutes. I mean, yeah, you have to see who, what, when, where.
Every 2? Does it ever go down to?
No, that rarely. You're going to find somebody. I mean, it's better than doing that, because there's some opinion like that than just eating regular. What?
Is there guidelines about Sembidalia, which isn't biblical and isn't so split?
We discussed that. You weren't there that day. No, it's a machlekes in poskim. If somebody will fast Sem Gedalia, and by fasting Sem Gedalia, you won't be able to fast properly Yom Kippur. Huh?
Yeah.
How could they know that?
No, but even
How can somebody knows? They're very weak and they're going to only fast one of the two. Are you kidding?
Hard for someone, or a nursing mother, or
Same Gedalia B'chlal, halachically is a very, very, of all the fasts, same Gedalia is the most lenient. Because, one second, according to many opinions in halacha, Gedalia was killed the second day of Rosh Hashanah. So then same Gedalia anyway is a nitcha. So it's always a nitcha, not like Tainis Esther is a nitcha or a tisha, whatever. So same Gedalia in essence is a nitcha. Okay, and so, yeah, many people are much more lenient, especially because of Yom Kippur.
is there guidelines you could give?
For you-
Somebody's traveling in the sun,
They have to ask a shaila.
a little sick.
They have to ask a shaila. Guidelines. It doesn't work like that.
Nursing mother,
Nursing mother, some Gedai doesn't fast, not nursing, not pregnant. Not only that, the woman that had a baby within 2 years doesn't fast in Gedai either. A woman who had a baby, even if she's not nursing, but halachically for 2 years, she has a din of a menekes, of a nursing mother, even if she's not nursing. Because the body, the Gemara says, the halacha says, the body doesn't come back to normal until 2 years. So the whole vart of menekes is that the body is not back to normal yet. It applies even if she's not nursing. But again, I mean, it's, what?
Wow.
What do you mean, wow?
Even if she wasn't nursing the whole time after birth, she.
There are most opinions hold like that in Allah, and that's the way it's most Rabbanim Paskin like that.
That's the way they hold it.
Yeah? Not Yom Kippur Tisha B'Av. I mean, they anyway, pregnant and nursing women have to fast. It's a whole different story.
Fast up to 2 years.
What?
But the other fast up to 2 years.
In Shchonorach it says if they feel very bad, they don't have to fast. But nowadays, when people are kvetching more than they used to, even you should know Yom Kippur, the Rabbanim in Eretz Yisrael, Tisha B'Av for sure, but even Yom Kippur, they're much more lenient, not lenient, but they're more lenient nowadays with pregnant women especially, more than nursing women. Unless if a nursing woman, by fasting, is not going to have enough milk and she can't store milk before and she's only breastfeeding and she, there's not enough milk, so then that's also. But many poskim are more lenient today because because Shari Tzedek Hospital, the doctors there told the Rabbanim that every year after Yom Kippur and after Tisha B'Av, there's a lot of preemies born. So they, what?
What age do you have to have
Well, we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Basically from the age of Chinuch, but only for a little bit. It says in halacha, boys at 12 and girls at 11, a year before Bar Mitzvah, should really fast the whole Yom Kippur. Before that, from 9 and up, you train them, a little bit. Okay. Machachin is a mezmer mechber mein kim shvla gal teira v'chananu kashemed. Dort der machot dak so wegen hebel am